I want you to lean in close and listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you might just change the course of your life. It's a simple truth, but one that's often drowned out by the noise of society, social media, and our own insecurities. Here it is: you cannot, should not, and must not try to please everyone. Let that sink in for a moment. Feel the weight of those words, because they're heavy, I know. They go against everything we've been taught since we were knee-high to a grasshopper. Be nice, fit in, don't rock the boat. But let me tell you something: that boat needs rocking, and you're just the person to do it. You see, when you set out on this fool's errand of trying to make everyone happy, you're setting yourself up for a life of frustration, disappointment, and worst of all, mediocrity. And mediocrity, my friends, is a far greater sin than failure. At least when you fail, you've tried something. You've put yourself out there. You've dared to be great. But when you're busy trying to please everyone, you're not really living. You're existing. You're a shadow of who you could be, tiptoeing through life, hoping not to offend, not to stand out, not to ruffle any feathers. And let me tell you, the world doesn't need more people afraid to ruffle feathers. The world needs people who are willing to soar. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Denzel, isn't it important to be kind? To consider others' feelings? Absolutely. Kindness is crucial. Empathy is essential. But there's a world of difference between being kind and being a people pleaser. Kindness comes from a place of strength, of knowing who you are and what you stand for. People pleasing comes from a place of fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being disliked. Let me share a little story with you. Early in my career, I was offered a role in a film. It was a good role, decent pay, and my agent was pushing hard for me to take it. It'll be great exposure, he said. Everyone will love you in this part, but something didn't sit right with me. The character felt one-dimensional, stereotypical. It didn't challenge me, didn't excite me. It was a safe choice, a crowd pleaser. I turned it down. My agent was furious. My friends thought I was crazy. You're passing up a sure thing, they said. But here's what they didn't understand: I wasn't in this game to be liked by everyone. I was in it to be great, and to push boundaries, to tell stories that mattered. That decision could have backfired. I could have been blacklisted, labeled difficult. But you know what? It didn't matter, because I was being true to myself. And that, my friends, is the key to everything. When you stop trying to please everyone, something magical happens. You start to please the one person who matters most: yourself. And when you're true to yourself, when you're operating from a place of authenticity, that's when you start to attract the right people, the right opportunities, the right life. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Oh no, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because we're hardwired to seek approval. It's in our DNA. Since we were cavemen huddling around fires, we've known that acceptance meant survival. Rejection could mean being cast out, left to fend for ourselves in a hostile world. But we're not cavemen anymore, folks. We're living in a world of infinite possibilities, a world that desperately needs what only you can offer: your unique voice, your singular vision, your particular brand of magic. And you can't share that magic if you're busy shape-shifting, trying to be all things to all people. Think about the great change makers throughout history: Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. Do you think they were concerned with pleasing everyone? Hell no. They were vilified, criticized, even imprisoned, but they stood firm in their convictions. They knew that to make a real difference, you have to be willing to be disliked, even hated by some. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and become a revolutionary, but in your own life, in your own way, you need to be willing to stand up for what you believe in, to say no when everyone's pressuring you to say yes, to zig when the world wants you to zag. Because here's the truth: when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. You become a watered-down version of yourself, bland, forgettable. Is that really how you want to live your life? As a footnote, a supporting character in someone else's story? No, I didn't think so. You're here because you want more. You're here because deep down, you know you're capable of greatness. And greatness, my friends, is never achieved by consensus. Think about it. Has anything truly innovative, truly groundbreaking ever been universally loved right off the bat? Of course not. Innovation disrupts. It challenges the status quo. It makes people uncomfortable. And that's a good thing. Comfort is the enemy of progress. When I took on the role of Malcolm X, do you think everyone was pleased? No, sir. There were those who thought I wasn't right for the part. Those who thought the movie shouldn't be made at all. But I knew it was important. I knew it was a story that needed to be told. And so I put my head down, did the work, and delivered the performance of my life. And you know what? Some people still weren't happy. But that's okay, because I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for the story, for the legacy of Malcolm X, and for myself. And in the end, that performance opened doors I never even knew existed. That's what happens when you stop trying to please everyone and start being true to yourself. You tap into a power you never knew you had. You become unstoppable. But let me be clear, this isn't about being selfish. It's not about disregarding others' feelings or trampling over people to get what you want. It's about having the courage to be authentic, to stand in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because growth happens in discomfort. Dreams are realized in the face of adversity. And your true supporters, your real tribe, they'll respect you more for being genuine than for being agreeable. Now, I can see some of you shifting in your seats. Isn't easy to hear, is it? It goes against everything society has taught us. Be nice, don't wake waves, go with the flow. But let me ask you this, where has that gotten you so far? Are you living the life you dreamed of? Are you fulfilling your potential, or are you playing small, dimming your light so you don't outshine anyone else? I want you to think about that for a moment. Really think about it. Because the world needs your light. It needs your ideas, your passion, your unique perspective. And it can't get any of that if you're busy trying to be what you think everyone wants you to be. You see, when you're constantly seeking approval, you're giving away your power. You're letting others define your worth, your path, your very identity. And that, my friends, is a recipe for a life of regret. I've met too many people who've lived that life. People who, in their twilight years, look back with sadness at all the chances they didn't take, all the dreams they didn't pursue, all because they were afraid of what others might think. Don't let that be you. Don't let fear or disapproval keep you from becoming who you're meant to be. Because here's the thing, those who mind don't matter. And those who matter don't mind. The people who truly love and support you will do so, whether you're a doctor, a janitor, or a circus clown. They'll stand by you when you succeed, and they'll lift you up when you fail. Those are the people you need to focus on. Not the critics, not the naysayers, not the people who only like you when you're fitting into their narrow definition of who you should be. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Denzel, I have responsibilities. I can't just do whatever I want, and you're right. We all have responsibilities. We all have obligations. But too often we use those as excuses just to stay in our comfort zone, to avoid taking risks. Let me tell you something, there's always a way. Always. It might not be easy, it might not be immediate, but if you want something badly enough, you'll find a way to make it happen. And it starts with being honest with yourself about what you really want. Ask yourself, if you weren't worried about pleasing anyone else, what would you do? Who would you be? What dreams would you pursue? Write it down. Make it real. Because once you've acknowledged it, once you've put it out there in the universe, you've taken the first step towards making it a reality. And here's the beautiful thing when you start living authentically. When you stop trying to please everyone and start being true to yourself, you become magnetic. People are drawn to authenticity. They're drawn to passion. They're drawn to people who know who they are and aren't afraid to show it. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they're not people pleasers. They're trailblazers. They're innovators. They're people who've had the courage to be themselves, even when it wasn't popular, even when it was downright dangerous. That's the kind of person you can be. That's the kind of life you can live. But it starts with a choice to stop seeking approval and start seeking fulfillment, a choice to stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on what you think, a choice to stop playing small and start playing big. It's not an easy choice. It's not a comfortable choice. But it's a choice that will transform your life in ways you can't even imagine right now. You see, when you stop trying to please everyone, you free up so much energy. Energy that you can channel into your passions, your goals, your dreams. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter and start investing in the things that do. And let me tell you, that's when life gets exciting. That's when doors start to open. That's when you start to see opportunities you never noticed before. Because you're no longer looking at the world through the lens of what will people think. You're looking at it through the lens of what's possible. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be smooth sailing, far from it. When you stop trying to please everyone, you're going to ruffle some feathers. You're going to face criticism. You might even lose some people you thought were friends. But here's the thing that's okay. It's more than okay. It's necessary. Because those challenges, those criticisms, those losses, they're all part of the process. They're what shape you, what strengthen you, what transform you from who you are into who you're meant to be. Think of it like sculpting. Michelangelo didn't create David by adding things. He created it by chipping away everything that wasn't David. And that's what this process is like. It's about chipping away everything that isn't truly you. All the false personas, all the masks you wear to please others, all the compromises you make to fit in. What's left when all that's chipped away? The real you. The authentic you. The you that's capable of greatness. Now, I can see some of you getting excited. I can feel the energy in this room shifting. But I also know that there's fear there. Fear of change. Fear of the unknown. Fear of failure. Let me tell you something about failure. It's not the enemy. Failure is your friend. Failure is your teacher. Every time you fail, you learn something. You grow. You get stronger. And you get one step closer to success. You think I've never failed? Ha! I've failed more times than I can count. I've first been rejected for roles. I've made movies that flopped. I've made mistakes in my personal life that I'm not proud of. But you know what? I wouldn't trade those failures for anything. Because each one taught me something valuable. Each one made me who I am today. And that's what I want for you. I want you to fail. I want you to fail spectacularly. Because that means you're trying. That means you're pushing yourself. That means you're living. You see, when you're trying to please everyone, you play it safe, you don't take risks, you don't put yourself out there. And sure, you might avoid failure, but you also avoid success, you avoid growth, you avoid life. Is that really how you want to live? In a bubble of mediocrity, never knowing what you're truly capable of? I didn't think so. So here's what I want you to do. Starting today, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. A commitment to stop seeking approval and start seeking growth. A commitment to stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on what you think. A commitment to be unapologetically, authentically you. It's not going to be easy. There will be days when you want to give up, when you want to conform, when you want to shrink back into the comfort of people pleasing. But I want you to resist that urge. I want you to stand tall, to speak your truth, to live your life on your terms. Because here's the thing, you only get one life. One shot at this incredible, messy, beautiful adventure. Are you really going to waste it trying to make everyone else happy? Or are you going to seize it, shape it, make it extraordinary? The choice is yours. And it's a choice you have to make every single day. Every time you're faced with a decision, ask yourself, am I doing this to please others? Or am I doing this because it's true to who I am and what I believe? It's not always going to be clear cut. There will be times when you have to compromise, when you have to consider others' feelings. That's part of being a decent human being. But there's a big difference between showing consideration and sacrificing your authenticity. Learn to recognize that difference. Learn to draw that line. Because once you start living from a place of authenticity rather than a place of people pleasing, that's when your life will truly begin to change. You'll start attracting people who appreciate you for who you really are, not for who you pretend to be. You'll start finding opportunities that align with your true passions, not just what looks good on paper. You'll start feeling a sense of peace, of rightness that comes from being in alignment with your true self. And let me tell you, there's no better feeling in the world than that. It's like coming home after a long journey. It's like finally being able to breathe after being underwater. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but Denzel, what if I don't know who I really am? What if I've been people-pleasing for so long that I've lost touch with my authentic self? That's a valid concern. And it's more common than you might think. We live in a world that's constantly telling us who we should be, how we should act, what we should want. It's easy to lose yourself in all that noise. But here's the good news, your authentic self is still there. It might be buried under years of conditioning, years of trying to fit in, years of saying yes when you wanted to say no. But it's there. And finding it is one of the most rewarding journeys you can embark on. Start by getting quiet, really quiet. Turn off the TV, put away your phone, and just sit with yourself. Listen to your thoughts, your feelings, your instincts, what excites you, what angers you, what moves you to tears. These are all clues to who you really are. Start saying no to things that don't align with your values, even if it means disappointing someone. Start saying yes to things that scare you, but also thrill you. Start expressing your opinions, even if they're unpopular. Start creating, even if you're not sure you're any good at it. In short, start living. Not for others, but for yourself. And here's something crucial to remember. This isn't a one-time thing. It's not like you flip a switch and suddenly you're living authentically and never people-pleasing again. It's a daily practice, a moment-by-moment choice. There will be times when you slip back into old patterns, times when the fear of disapproval is so strong that you compromise your authenticity. And that's okay. The important thing is to recognize it when it happens, to learn from it, and to recommit to your authentic path. Because here's the truth, the world doesn't need another people pleaser. The world doesn't need another person so afraid of rocking the boat that they never make waves. The world needs you. The real you. The authentic you. The you that's willing to stand up for what you believe in, to pursue your dreams with passion, to live your truth even when it's uncomfortable. That's the you that can make a difference. That's the you that can inspire others. That's the you that can change the world. Now, I know that might sound grandiose, change the world, really, Denzel, but hear me out. Every great change, every revolution, every paradigm shift in human history started with one person deciding to be true to themselves. One person deciding that pleasing others wasn't as important as living their truth. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't change the course of civil rights by trying to please everyone. Rosa Parks didn't spark a movement by worrying about what others would think. Steve Jobs didn't revolutionize technology by following the crowd. These people changed the world by being unapologetically themselves, by having the courage to stand up for what they believed in, even when it was unpopular, even when it was dangerous. And while you might not be leading a civil rights movement or creating the next big tech innovation, you have the power to create change in your own sphere of influence. Your family, your friends, your community, they all benefit when you show up as your authentic self. Because here's the thing, authenticity is contagious. When you have the courage to be yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You create a ripple effect that can transform relationships, workplaces, even entire communities. But it starts with you. It starts with a decision to stop living for others' approval and start living for your own fulfillment. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about being selfish or disregarding others' feelings entirely. It's about finding a balance. It's about being kind and considerate without sacrificing your own identity and values. It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. That by taking care of yourself, by honoring your own needs and desires, you actually become better equipped to help others. You become more present, more authentic, more impactful in your interactions. I think about it, have you ever been around someone who's clearly just telling you what they think you want to hear? It feels hollow, doesn't it? There's no real connection there. But when you're with someone who's being genuine, who's speaking their truth, even if you don't agree with everything they say, there's a depth to that interaction. There's respect, there's real communication. That's the kind of person you can be. That's the kind of impact you can have. But it requires courage. It requires a willingness to be vulnerable, to be seen, to be judged. And that's scary. I get it. I've been there. There have been times in my career when I've had to make choices that I knew wouldn't be popular. Times when I've had to turn down roles that would have been safe choices but didn't align with my values. Times when I've had to speak up about issues that matter to me, even knowing it might cost me fans or opportunities. And you know what? Sometimes it did. Sometimes I faced backlash. Sometimes I lost out on things I thought I wanted. But looking back, I don't regret any of those choices because each one of them helped shape me into who I am today. Each one brought me closer to my authentic self. And ultimately, that authenticity has been the key to my success, both professionally and personally. Because when you're being true to yourself, you tap into a well of power and creativity that's simply not available when you're busy trying to please everyone else. You become more focused, more passionate, more driven. You attract opportunities and people that align with your true self. And most importantly, you find a sense of peace and fulfillment that no amount of external validation can provide. Now, I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine waking up every morning excited about the day ahead. Not because you're trying to meet someone else's expectations, but because you're living a life that's true to who you are. Imagine going to work, not to please your boss or your colleagues, but to pursue something you're genuinely passionate about. Imagine relationships based on mutual respect and understanding rather than a constant need for approval. That's the kind of life that's possible when you stop trying to please everyone and start being true to yourself. And let me tell you, it's a life worth fighting for. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy. You're going to face resistance from others, yes, but also from yourself. That inner critic, that voice that tells you to play it safe, to not rock the boat, is going to get loud, real loud. But I want you to push through that. I want you to remember why you're doing this. Remember that you're not just doing this for yourself, but for everyone whose life you touch. Because when you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. You become a beacon of possibility in a world that desperately needs it. So here's what I want you to do. Starting today, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. A commitment to live authentically, to speak your truth, to pursue your passions without apology. A commitment to stop seeking approval and start seeking fulfillment. Start small if you need to. Say no to one thing you would normally say yes to just to please someone else. Express an opinion you've been holding back. Take a step towards that dream you've been putting off because you're afraid of what others might think. And when you do these things, pay attention to how you feel. Notice a sense of liberation, of alignment that comes from being true to yourself. Let that feeling be your guide. Let it remind you why this journey is worth it. Because here's the truth at the end of your life. You're not going to regret the times you disappointed others by being true to yourself. You're going to regret the times you disappointed yourself by trying to please everyone else. So choose yourself. Choose authenticity. Choose to live a life that's true to who you are, not who others want you to be. It won't always be easy. There will be times when you doubt yourself, times when the pressure to conform feels overwhelming. But in those moments, I want you to remember this: you are enough, just as you are. You don't need to change yourself to be worthy of love, respect, or success. You just need to be brave enough to be yourself. And when you do that, when you show up in the world as your authentic self, you'll find that the right people, the right opportunities, the right life starts to gravitate towards you. Because authenticity has a magnetic quality. It draws people in. It inspires. It transforms. So don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to be you. Because there's no one else in this world quite like you. And that uniqueness, that authenticity, that's your superpower. Use it. Embrace it. Let it guide you towards a life that's truly yours. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's about living a life that's authentic, that's meaningful, that's true to who you are. It's about waking up every day knowing that you're not just going through the motions, not just living to please others, but truly living. And let me tell you, there's no greater feeling in the world than that. No amount of approval, no amount of praise, no amount of praise, no amount of success can compare to the peace and fulfillment that comes from being true to yourself. So I challenge you starting today, stop trying to please everyone. Start living for yourself. Start being unapologetically, authentically you. Because the world doesn't need another people pleaser. The world needs you, the real you. And who knows? By being true to yourself, you might just inspire others to do the same. You might just start a revolution of authenticity. And that, my friends, is how we change the world. Not by trying to please everyone, but by having the courage to be ourselves. By living our truth, pursuing our passions, and inspiring others to do the same. So go out there and be you. The world is waiting. Thank you. Conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this final thought. Life is not a dress rehearsal. This is not a practice run. This is it. This is your one shot at this incredible, messy, beautiful thing we call life. Don't waste it trying to be someone you're not. Don't squander it seeking approval from people who don't matter. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. Instead, shine bright, be bold, be authentic, be you. Because when you stop trying to please everyone and start being true to yourself, that's when life really begins. That's when you start to make a real impact. That's when you start to live. So go out there and live, my friends. Live authentically, live passionately, live without apology. The world is waiting for you. The real you. Thank you, and God bless.